You wake up, open Telegram, and three of your accounts are gone. Not restricted, not warned, just deleted or frozen mid-sentence. The channels you were posting to, the groups you were moderating, the DM threads you had going with customers. All of it locked behind a number that Telegram no longer trusts. If you run more than one Telegram account for real work, you already know that sinking feeling. And here is the part that stings. You did the obvious things. You used different SIMs, you logged in from different proxies, you kept the apps on separate browser profiles. Telegram tied them together anyway and took the whole cluster down in one sweep. This video is about why that keeps happening and how to actually run many Telegram accounts without waking up to a graveyard. Let me say where I am coming from first, because there is a lot of nonsense in this space. I run a real cloud phone farm in Singapore. Not emulators, not software pretending to be Android, actual physical Android handsets sitting on racks in a room I can walk into, each one on its own Singapore mobile carrier IP from Singtel, M1 or StarHub. So when I talk about what Telegram sees and what survives, it is from running the boxes, not from reading a forum. So let us start with the real question. Why does Telegram mass ban accounts that look, to you, completely separate? The short version is that Telegram does not judge an account by its SIM card alone. It builds a picture out of everything around the login, and when two accounts share too much of that picture, it treats them as one operator. Think about what Telegram can actually see when an account connects. It sees the IP address and which network that IP belongs to. It sees the device, the model, the OS version, the app build, a device identifier baked into the system. It sees timing, when you log in, when you go active, how fast you do things. None of this is your number. All of it is the environment the number lives in. Now picture the cheap setup that everybody tries first. 10 accounts, 10 SIMs, but all running through one phone or one emulator, switched back and forth, or 10 accounts behind one proxy pool that hands out the same handful of IP addresses to all of them. To you, those are 10 separate accounts. To Telegram, they are 10 numbers sharing one device fingerprint and one little cluster of IP addresses. That is not 10 users. That is one operator with 10 numbers, and that is exactly the shape Telegram is built to catch. The bands hit together because the detection works on the cluster, not the single account. Once Telegram decides this group of numbers is one operation, it does not patiently ban them one at a time over weeks. It links them and it takes the link set down. That is why people lose 5 or 10 accounts in a single morning. The accounts were never really separate in the only place that counts, which is Telegram's view of them. It helps to understand why Telegram got this serious. For years, a fresh number and a VPN were enough, and a lot of advice online is still stuck in that world. But Telegram has crossed well past 900 million users. It is under real regulatory pressure in Europe, and spam at scale genuinely degrades the product for everyone. So the detection got much smarter and much quieter. It stopped relying on any single tell and started reading the whole environment around a login. The old tricks do not just work less well now, they actively flag you because doing exactly what every spammer does is itself the signal. Mass reports make this worse. If you are using these accounts to push the same message into the same groups, real users hit report. A few reports on one number is noise. A wave of reports across a set of numbers that Telegram has already quietly linked is a confirmation. The report behavior and the shared environment line up, and the system has everything it needs to act. Automation signals stack on top of that. Accounts that all wake up at the same minute, send their first message in the same hour, join the same channels in the same order, all post the identical text to a human that looks like a campaign. To Telegram's models, it looks like coordinated, inauthentic behavior, which is the exact phrase they use internally and the exact thing they are under pressure from regulators to stamp out. Sameness is the signal. 10 accounts that behave like one script are 10 copies of the same fingerprint. So what actually fixes this? The principle is simple to say, and the hard part is doing it honestly. One account per real device on its own real mobile IP. That is the whole foundation. Everything else is detail on top of it. One real device per account means each Telegram number lives on its own physical Android phone. Not a slice of an emulator, not a profile on a shared handset, an actual phone with a genuine hardware fingerprint. The model string is real, the architecture is real ARM hardware, the sensors are real, the device identifiers are the ones the manufacturer wrote in. There is no emulator signature to detect because there is no emulator. To Telegram, it reads as exactly what it is, an ordinary person's phone. Its own mobile IP means each phone reaches Telegram through a real mobile carrier address, not a data center range and not a rotating pool shared across all your accounts. A Singtel or M1 or StarHub mobile IP is shared by thousands of ordinary Singaporeans checking Telegram on the train. That is the hardest kind of address for Telegram to act against because behind it are real customers. One account on one stable carrier IP is the cleanest pairing you can give it, and stability is the quiet half that people skip. Telegram's trust is time-weighted. An account that has lived on the same Singapore mobile IP and the same handset for 2 months sits in a completely different risk bracket than one bouncing across a fresh proxy IP every session. Every time your IP jumps, Telegram sees what looks like a new device situation and the session has to rebuild. On a real phone with a fixed IP, the session establishes once and just persists. That persistence is what lets the account age into something trusted. That session persistence matters more than people realize for day-to-day ops. On a flaky proxy setup, the account is constantly relogging, constantly re-triggering security checks, and your two-step verification turns into daily friction. On a stable device with a stable IP, you log in once, the session sits there for months, and the account quietly accumulates history. That history is the asset. It is what you are really building. Now warm up because this is where most operators undo good infrastructure. A brand new number that immediately starts blasting messages into channels looks wrong no matter how clean the device is. You have to let each account behave like a person first. For the first couple of weeks, use it like a normal user. Message a few real contacts. Join a handful of channels you actually care about. Read, scroll, react. Let the account exist before you ask it to work. Then ramp slowly and unevenly. Do not flip all your accounts from idle to busy on the same day. Stagger them. Give each one its own rhythm, its own time of day, its own pace. The goal is that no two accounts in your set move in lockstep, because lockstep is the cluster signal. 10 accounts with 10 different daily patterns are 10 users. 10 accounts that ramp identically are one operation wearing 10 hats. Here is what this looks like for actual Telegram work. Say you are running channel and community ops. One account owns and posts to your main channel on its own phone, another moderates a group on its own phone, a couple more handle support DMS or run separate regional communities, each on its own phone and IP. Because none of them share a device or an address, Telegram never links them. One getting flagged for some unrelated reason does not drag the rest down with it. That isolation is the entire point. For marketing and outreach, the same rule holds, and the discipline matters even more. Each account keeps its own contact pattern, its own group memberships, its own message history. Do not friend your own accounts to each other. Do not add the same external contacts in the same order across all of them. Do not paste the identical message from every number on the same afternoon. The way Telegram catches operators is the cluster pattern, not the lone account, so you break the pattern on purpose. Let me name the mistakes plainly, because avoiding them is half the battle. Switching multiple accounts on one device even with logouts, because the device fingerprint and leftover app data carry across. Running everything through one proxy pool so all your numbers share a tiny set of IP addresses, spinning up 10 accounts in the same hour, blasting before warming, and the silent killer, making every account behave identically, which turns your whole fleet into one detectable shape. There is also a mistake people make with the number itself. They age an account for months on one network, then suddenly move it onto a completely different IP in a different country, and they wonder why it gets challenged. Telegram watches continuity. A number that has always connected from a Singapore mobile network and then appears on a random data center address overseas looks like a takeover, not a login. If you are bringing an existing account onto a clean setup, do it gently. Let it settle on the new device and IP, use it lightly for a while, and let the continuity rebuild before you ask it to do anything that matters. Abrupt jumps are read as theft, and Telegram protects accounts hard against what looks like theft. Scaling safely is just the same recipe repeated, not a different trick. When you add accounts, you add real devices with real EPS, one-to-one. You do not cram more numbers onto the phones you already have. Each new account gets its own handset, its own carrier IP, its own warm-up, its own rhythm. Growth is linear and a little boring, and that is exactly why it survives. The operators who scale by stacking numbers onto shared infrastructure are the ones posting about mass bans. This is the entire reason cloud phones exist for this use case. A cloud phone is a real Android phone that lives in our racks in Singapore and that you control from your browser. It stays on around the clock. It keeps its session, and to Telegram it is just a normal phone on a normal Singapore mobile network. You get the one device per account, one mobile IP per account setup without buying a drawer full of handsets and SIMs yourself. If you want to see how this behaves instead of taking my word for it, there is a free 48-hour trial on our site at cloud.one. Grab a phone, put one Telegram account on it, run it for a couple of days, and watch how a real device on a real Singapore mobile IP just sits there stable. Start with one or two, warm them properly, confirm the sessions hold, then scale from there. The honest summary is this. Telegram does not ban you for having many accounts, it bans you for making many accounts look like one operator. Give each one a real device and its own real mobile IP, keep the sessions stable, warm them like people, and let them behave differently from each other. Do that and the morning graveyard stops happening. If this was useful, subscribe because the next video covers how to keep Telegram sessions and numbers alive long-term on cloud phones, the persistent side, so you stop losing accounts you have already done the hard work of aging. Thanks for watching.